Good morning, councillors, and welcome to the 822nd Ordinary Council meeting of Wednesday, the 19th of June. I declare this meeting open at 10 a.m. and I'd like to advise attendees that this meeting is being webcast and audio recorded. I'd now like to invite Thomas up from Windaroo Valley State High School to do an acknowledgement of country. He's bringing Kira with him as well.
Jingari Walu Walu. That means welcome, hello and welcome in the Yugambeh language group. My name is Thomas John Hain and I'm a Waka Waka man from the Sherburgh area. I'm the Indigenous captain of Windaroo Valley State High School, and it is my privilege to do the acknowledgement of country for today's council meeting. I would like to pay our respects to the traditional custodians of the land, the Yugambeh people, who have cared for the land, waterways and skies of the Logan area for more than 65,000 years. We acknowledge our ancestors, their struggles and their successes. We pay our respects to the elders past, present and emerging. I acknowledge all First Nations people present today. I hope your meeting is productive, respectful and decision-making and continues to build a strong Logan community.
Thank you, Thomas and Kira. That was fantastic. And we hope that you can stay for the whole meeting so we can give you a tour of the building afterwards. I'd now like to introduce Pastor Graham May from the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Eden's Landing to open this meeting with a reflection of faith. Gallery, please be upstanding if you're able to.
Well, first, thank you for the welcome to country. Thank you, Mayor and councillors, for inviting me to speak with you today. As we're in a room full of leaders, together we come combined together as a leadership team. I would like to share a little bit on the topic of leadership. As a faith leader in this community, I believe you as political leaders can relate to the challenges we face in making decisions for the greater good of our community. Leadership often requires difficult choices, and with change, there will always be some who disagree. When we implement change for the benefit of the community, how should we as leaders respond to those who oppose us? In the Bible, in the book of Matthew, we have the famous Sermon on the Mount. And it reads a little part like this: "You have heard that it was said, 'Love your neighbour and hate your enemy.' But I tell you, love your enemies." What is the meaning behind loving your enemy? Good question. The advice acknowledges that we will face resistance from time to time and may even create an enemy. It does not suggest that we should run out and give those people a hug, but rather that we should consider whether we are intensifying the situation or addressing the needs of the person. Our attitude and tone as leaders considerably influence how we are perceived by those that oppose us. Our attitude and tone as leaders determine how others will respond to us. Leadership comes with its challenges, but it also comes with its rewards. I encourage you to lead with wisdom and empathy for those that we serve in the community of Logan. Let us strive to inspire and support one another, even those who may disagree with us, as we work closer to build a safer and stronger community. I want to express my gratitude and opportunity to speak today. My personal community of faith in Beenleigh has greatly benefited from the alliance with Logan City Council in the past. Over the past 2.5 years, our partnership has enabled us to serve along organisations like Orange Sky and Nightlight, providing barber service cuts and other support to those in the needs of the streets of Beenleigh. So thank you for your time, thank you for your dedication to the community, and I pray that you'll be blessed as you lead with wisdom those you serve. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor Graham. Everyone, please be seated. Graham, you're welcome to stay with us for the meeting if you'd like to, but we understand you're busy, so if you have to make tracks, we appreciate that as well. Thank you, everybody. I too would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and their elders past, present and emerging. We'll now move to attendances and leaves of absence. I've received 2 requests for leaves of absence from Councillor Jacob Herrmeyer and Councillor Tim Fraser. There is a motion on the board. Could I have someone move that motion? Thank you. Councillor Bannon has moved the motion. Councillor Hall has seconded the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Thank you very much, councillors. Councillors, with your indulgence, I will move to declarations of conflicts of interest at this time because we've got a couple of congratulations that have motions before them. Do any councillors have any conflicts of interest they would like to raise in relation to this agenda?
Order, Mr. Mayor. What about condolences?
I'm doing declarations of conflict of interest. I'm doing declarations of conflict of interest. I'll move to condolences, congratulations and everything else afterwards as discussed before the meeting. Do any councillors have any declarations of conflicts of interest they'd like to discuss at this time, they'd like to raise at this time with this agenda? Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I declared a conflicts of interest in the governance meeting with regards to Club Beanley and the tennis repairs. There is no report in front of council, so that was just a declaration to say that there will be a report coming forward to council.
Thank you very much, Councillor Murphy. We'll now continue with the remainder of the agenda as there are no other conflicts of interest on this agenda, and we will move to condolences. Councillors, do you have any condolences you'd like to raise? Councillor Bradley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I apologise that I did not realise that you were moving the conflicts of interest up above condolences. I thought it was up above congratulations. I wish my deep condolences are passed on to the family and friends of Springwood resident Violet Withy. You may remember that last September when I congratulated Violet on her 105th birthday, which was featured in our Logan magazine. Violet Susan Withy passed away peacefully on Tuesday, the 11th of June at 105 years old, 9 months and 9 days. She's survived by 5 generations of her family, who I know will miss her dearly. I've known Violet and her son Derek for many years now and know the passing of Violet will be a difficult time. The family and all those who were touched by Violet have my deepest sympathies, as I know she will be remembered fondly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. Councillor Lane.
Thanks very much, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer my condolences on the passing of my friend Carmel Pearce and her son Marcus, who were taken from us in a house fire. Carmel didn't live an easy life, losing her daughter Kari Jane to murder in 1988. She took on the role of raising her granddaughter Ophelia and working through various issues that her family faced as a result of Kari Jane's murder, which still remains unsolved. To lose a child is devastating. To lose it to murder is just crippling. But Carmel didn't let that stop her from advocating. She dedicated her life to victims of crime, creating policy, advocating for greater rights and working on programs that help people through traumatic events that resulted from criminal behaviour against them. Most people will never know Carmel's name. They will never know the impact that she had on the victims of crime process, but she was significant in that. She was part of many major decisions, participated on the parole board, was active in creating new policy as issues emerged on many violent behaviours, and was a good partner and a great mum. Carmel was sassy. She was witty, dry, droll, energetic, and most of all, a good and kind human being. After her partner, Rob Longworth, passed away just a few years ago, her son Marcus moved up from Sydney to make sure that his mum could remain living independent in her own home. Marcus also perished in the fire, and unlike the lady that Councillor Bradley refers to, this was not an easy passing. It wasn't an easy passing for the community, it wasn't an easy passing for her neighbours and for her family. Carmel is survived by Andrew and Ophelia, and I would ask that you express our deepest condolences on behalf of the city. Thank you.
That will be done. Do any councillors have any further condolences? Councillor Jackson.
Thank you. I'd like to pass on condolences to the family and friends of Jeanette Mansell. Jeanette was a long-time resident of Marsden, where she raised her 4 sons and was a much-loved member of the Crestmead 40 Plus Club. She attended regularly with her sister Heather and enjoyed their regular social outings and bus trips. Club President Sydney Blake said Jeanette will be missed as she was a huge supporter of the club and always went above and beyond to contribute. Jeanette passed on Thursday, 13th of June 2024 and was survived by her 4 sons, 4 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. Mr Mayor, could you please pass on our condolences?
They will be done. Jeanette was an amazing icon of Marsden. Any further condolences from councillors? Councillor Wilcox.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Dennis Michael Hunter, better known as Danny to most of us, was born on the 21st of July 1947 and recently passed away on the 8th of June. He was enrolled in the Australian Army and served from 1970 to 1974, and during that time he did a tour of Vietnam. On his return from active service, he followed his passion of cooking and became a chef. He was called upon to set up a kitchen during the 1990 Charleville floods, where he cooked many meals for the townspeople and the flood volunteers. He was also given a certificate of appreciation from the Health Minister for his catering on the opening of the Logan Hospital many years ago. On his retirement as chef, he followed his other passion. So on his retirement after the PA hospital, he found a new passion in wood turning and woodworking, which led him to being the president and one of the original founders of the Flagstone Men's Shed and later and more recently Flagstone Blokes. Through his volunteering and community service, he made many friends and became well known within the Flagstone community. Danny's craftsmanship now graces many Flagstone businesses, schools and homes in the area. Danny was a true friend to all who met him and sadly will be missed. Mr Mayor, if we could please pass on our condolences to family and friends, it would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. That will be done. If I could ask councillors in the gallery to be upstanding if you're able. We will now observe a moment of silent reflection in honour of those who have gone before us and in support of those who they've left behind. Thank you. You may be seated. We will now move on to congratulations. I'll begin with councillors' congratulations and then move on to motions of congratulations that are in the agenda. Councillor Bradley, do you have any congratulations? Councillor Lane?
Of course I do, Mr Mayor, and you were probably present at about 80% of these, so I'll just say with the Mayor, I congratulate. On the 1st of June, we attended Banyan Day, which is the Philippines community special day of celebration at Kingston Butter Factory. Thousands were at the site. It was absolutely magic and a wonderful display of their culture, their dance, their food, and special congratulations to all who were involved. Mr Mayor, as a former softball player, masters player, I was able to attend the Murray Women's 10th Annual Softball Carnival in Division 3. Thanks very much, Councillor Russell, for letting me come. Thanks to Margie Gorman and the executive organisers. Teams from Northern Territory came down, played, stayed, and actually spent money in our city. So it's a great thing for us to advocate for in the future to get that Murray Softball Carnival down into Logan full time. Kingston State College had their services fair, which council officers participated in. Thank you very much to the team from council through the CEO, if that's okay. And we also had the First Nations display at Logan Art Gallery. It's still ongoing. Auntie Wendy Mott created a display of local artists and their ancestors' artwork, and it's on display at Logan Art Gallery at the moment. Uncle Laurie Naden, Uncle Reg Knox's materials there, Kyra's. There's just a heap of people, and you look at it and you are completely wowed by it. Again, Kingston State College batting it out there. They put on their scent auction, Grant Ebbers, and the team who did that. Money was raised for the cricket team so that they don't have to go begging for money. They're very independent at Kingston State College and we're very proud of them. Lily, Tess, Winston, Rena and Grace, you weren't at this one, Mr Mayor, had the Filipino Australian Social Club dinner, which raised funds for local charities in our local community, and we're very grateful for them. And on Saturday just past, our formerly Ever After legends, Tammy and Athol, tied the knot at a ceremony down at Ben Matthews. And This wasn't any normal wedding. The community actually put this wedding on for them. They actually participated in every step of it. Councillor Russell, Mr Mayor, you were there, and it was just a display of what a community does and how well they do it to put on something for people that they truly love and admire and respect. So, yeah, just want to say congratulations to all of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. They will be noted. Councillor Russell, Councillor St Ledger.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I just wanted a quick one to a young man, Ryder Burnham, 13-year-old, actually sent me an email which was off his own back to get a few little upgrades around his local park so him and the other local kids could get down there and practice their football. So Ryan got in contact, and a big congratulations to our parks team to be able to make it happen. So a nice, small, simple gesture, but just want to say that a young 13-year-old man showing some initiative. Great work.
Fantastic to hear, Councillor St Ledger. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you. I'd like to congratulate Berrimba Park Run on their 10th birthday. Started in 2014 by Adam Shannon with the support of some of the originals who are still involved, like Greg and Carolyn McLaughlin, Alison Reid and Justine Delabosca. Over the last 10 years, they have run 472 events and provided an active start to the weekend for 8,244 participants and 836 volunteers. I'd particularly like to celebrate these 836 volunteers who are the lifeblood of any community organisation. Thank you for all you do to create fun and a fun and inviting place for residents and tourists to connect while enjoying the beauty of Berrimba wetlands. Speaking of Berrimba wetlands, I'd also like to give a shout out to Ellie and Sarah and the Eats and Beats team for another great event on Friday night. Thank you to all the council staff, stallholders and entertainers who made it possible. And congrats to Mark, who won the $1,000 raffle on the night. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Councillor Hall. Councillor Bannon. He's doing one.
Surprised you, didn't I? I just want to congratulate Director Silvio Trinca in true Silvio fashion, who avoids the spotlight like the plague. Has somehow managed not to be here on his last council meeting. But I think you'll correct me. I think he's the second or third longest serving CEO or acting CEO. Got the council through a lot of turmoil at that stage. And then obviously as a director, I think over 20 years, I think that he's been in the building. But that's Silvio. He didn't turn up. He's a good mate, someone in my world, someone I like having a beer with. Means it goes a long way for me. But congratulate Silvio. I'm sure the building will do something for him. But the fact the cheeky devil's not here, I thought I had to bring it up.
Thank you, Councillor Bannon. And we're sad to see that Silvio's moving on and that he will be our only Logan director. He's the only one who lives locally and he's moving on to green pastures, so good on him. Councillor Stemp. Councillor Wilcox.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's my honour today to recognise some remarkable accomplishments from some outstanding athletes, and they're not just a Division 11, they're actually citywide. We've got 37 days till the Paris 2024 Olympics, and our Australian team is being selected, and Logan is already very well represented. We've had Logan Martin representing us in freestyle BMX. I'll claim him even though he lives on the Gold Coast. Genevieve Gregson, formerly from Division 9, who's actually switched from track and field and steeplechase now to marathon running. I don't know how she does that, but it's amazing. Greenbank Golden Girls, Shayna Jack and Molly O'Callaghan. Molly has qualified for 100 free, 200 free, 100 back for individual. Shayna's qualified for 50 and 100 free individual. So I'm looking forward to seeing them both race each other in the 100 free. It was pretty outstanding to watch them race in the pool last week, and they're both going to be swimming some relays as well. So they've got a full agenda for them. So congratulations to all of them. I'm sure we'll still have more coming through. But I've got a huge congratulations to Jake Tyso, who's actually Division 7 resident from Boronia Heights, but he's recently emerged as national champion for the 16 years 100 and 200 fly events at Australian Age Champs held on the Gold Coast recently. So because he won those, he swam last year, didn't quite get on the podium, but his journey has now taken him to swim at the Olympic trials just recently, where he came 17th out of about 50-odd swimmers in 200 fly. I don't know who the hell wants to swim a 200 fly event. That's just out of control. But outstanding, and he did do the 100 metres as well. So he's done outstanding. I'm watching him. He has his first international meet coming up, where he's actually representing Queensland in New Zealand very shortly. So good luck to Jake. His achievements are testament to his training. I've watched him for years. I've known him and the family for years. He coaches swims now at Rackley Hibiscus at Macrovat. His family, friends, the entire swimming community, and I know all of Logan is behind him. And his grade 11 English class was definitely behind him, and I know this because my eldest daughter Zoe is actually in his grade 11 English class. They were meant to be doing work, but he was actually also meant to be in class with them when his race was on, so they didn't do any work. They actually watched the whole race, running half an hour behind on the screen, and that sort of thing, so they were cheering him on. So I'm definitely watching him, not now just for the 2032 Olympics, but for the next ones. I think after Paris, I think he'll be there. I do have one more congratulations, and that's to a Maroons player. So every Maroons player in rugby league started somewhere in Queensland, and I'm proud to say and congratulate Mo, gosh, I hope I say this right because I couldn't say his whole first name, Mo Okay, thanks. Who originally played for Greenbank Raiders up until the age of 12, followed by Logan Brothers until he was 17. He's been named in the Queensland side. He was last year. He has this year. He played in Game 1. He's been named in Game 2 as well. And it's very cool to see Greenbank Raiders pop up on the screen and that sort of thing. So I'm sure everyone in Greenbank Raiders and everyone in Logan is backing him. So congratulations to you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. Everyone in Queensland is backing him as well. We want to see another thrashing of New South Wales. Councillor Murphy. All good. Thank you very much, councillors. We'll now move on to congratulations motions. We have two congratulations reports to consider today in today's meeting. I'll now refer to item 6.1, which is the 2024 LGMA Excellence in Collaboration Award win for the Land for Wildlife SEQ. I'll proceed to the podium to present the award, and then I'll put the motions up for the vote. Thank you, everyone. Whoa, this feels different. So I'd like to congratulate the Health, Climate and Conservation Branch as a recent joint recipient for the Local Government Managers Australia Queensland Award for Land for Wildlife South East Queensland, acknowledging collaboration between 13 South East Queensland councils to achieve excellence in conservation. This award recognises the performance of committed council staff contributing to private land conservation services and work to increase habitat and biodiversity in the City of Logan. Our Land for Wildlife properties in Logan are incredibly diverse and supporting more than 500 native species of animals and plants, including 19 threatened species such as the koala, the greater glider and the Flinders plum and many more. I am pleased to invite Trevor Knappy from the Health, Climate and Conservation Branch up to receive this prestigious award on behalf of the team. There's a few of them here today and in their snazzy environmental shirts, so I'm sure councillors want to get their mitts on as soon as possible. Congratulations, Trevor. Please come up and get a round of applause and a photo. Trevor, would you like you got to come in front of the podium, otherwise it doesn't work. Yeah, in front of the podium. You got everyone to flank around you. Thank you. I'll stand beside you. Look at that. Oh, beautiful. Doing so well. Councillors, there is now a motion displayed on the screen. Is there a mover for this motion? Thank you, Councillor Bradley. Seconded by Councillor Hall. I'll now open the floor to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Congratulations. I'll now refer to item 6.2, which is the Australasian Fleet Management Association Awards. I will proceed to the podium to present the award and then come back to move the motion. Alrighty, let me begin by congratulating the... who are we doing here? Hang on. to the Transport and Water Services branch. I'd like to congratulate them for the Australasian Fleet Managers Association. It is an award that they've received. It's the leading body for the Australian fleet and automotive industry. The association has recognised council's achievements within the following two categories: the 2024 Fleet Manager of the Year Award and the 2024 Fleet Environment Award. As winners of these awards, Logan City Council is recognised nationally as leaders in the management of efficient and sustainable fleet operations. Congratulations to the Transport and Water Services branch. And I'd like to invite the following officers up to accept this award: Tom Brayley, Richard Thompson, Lee, are you here? You are, Lee, Howard Kiers and Brandon Ling. Please come up and receive your award. Did I forget anyone? Big round of applause. Congratulations again to Tom and the team. There is a report motion now displayed on the screen. Would someone like to move that motion? Thank you, Councillor Bennon, seconded by Councillor Jackson. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to confirmation of the minutes of the previous ordinary council meeting. There is a motion on the screen. Would someone like to move that motion? Thank you, Councillor Hall, seconded by Councillor St. Ledger. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. We'll now move on to item 9, which is business arising from the minutes, and we have none. We'll now move on to committee reports and recommendations, beginning with the Special Budget Committee. I now refer to the Special Budget Committee held on the 27th of May 2024. Councillor Murphy, Chairperson of the Special Budget Committee, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. On the 27th of May, the cohort, the councillors and the staff, and thank you to Margaret for all her help, sat for the last day of the budget discussions in preparation for the budget delivery on the 24th of June. We covered the finalisation of the long-term financial plan and the draft of the operational plan and the budget media. It was the 6th full day of budget planning, and I'm pleased to say that we are ready to deliver our city's budget for 24-25. So, Mr Mayor, I hand it back to you now.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Would any other councillors wish to speak to the recommendations? There being none, Councillor Murphy, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I now move that the recommendations of the Special Budget Committee held on the 27th of May 2024 be adopted.
Councillor Murphy has moved the motion. Is there someone to second this motion? Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously with the exception of Councillor Bradley. How do you vote, Councillor Bradley?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I was absent, as was Councillor Bannon, so I am abstaining.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. Would any other councillors like to abstain or vote against any particular item on the agenda? Councillor Russell?
Sorry, Mr Mayor. I actually didn't recall this, but it appears that I was absent as well.
So do you want to vote for it or you want to abstain?
I think it's probably appropriate to abstain.
So Councillor Russell has abstained. I would like to abstain against item 7.2 in the Special Budget Committee meeting. Thank you. Councillor Bannon?
Sorry, Mr Mayor, just because my name was mentioned, I was absent, but I did obviously read it, so which is why I'm voting for it.
Understand, Councillor Bannon. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to the City Infrastructure Committee. I now refer to the City Infrastructure Committee meeting held on the 11th of June 2024. Deputy Mayor Bannon, Chairperson of that committee, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In true essence of the Infrastructure Committee, there's no need to speak to recommendations. We're just about getting the work done. I hand it back to you.
Thank you, Councillor Bannon. Would any other councillors wish to speak to the report? There being none, Councillor Bannon, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I now move that the recommendations of the City Infrastructure Committee meeting held on the 11th of June 2024 be adopted.
Councillor Bannon has moved the motion on the screen. Would someone like to second that motion? Thank you, Councillor St Ledger. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Would any councillors wish to record their name against or abstain from any of the individual reports? Councillor Bradley.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. May I have my name recorded as abstain from 6.2? Thank you.
That will be recorded. Thank you very much, Councillor Bradley. Well, now... Oh, sorry, Councillor Stemp.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I was against 9.1.
Against 9.1. That will be recorded as well. Thank you very much, councillors. We'll now move on to the City Governance Committee meeting held on the 11th of June. Councillor Murphy, as the chair of that committee, can you please speak to the recommendations?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll now speak to the recommendations. Last week we had a full agenda with 8 reports being considered and a couple of confidential items. We delved into matters of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on April, which included insights from the recent independent review. The committee was also presented with the annual review of the delegations, financial performance results for April, and a comprehensive report on service reviews for both the plant seat services, that was a mouthful, plant fleet services, and the corporate property branch. Additionally, we also discussed the shareholders' report from our beneficial enterprise Invest Logan and had a review of the Q3 2023-24 update for the digital transformation program. I hand it back to you.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Would any other councillors wish to speak to the items on that agenda? There being none, Councillor Murphy, you may proceed.
Thank you indeed, Mr Mayor. I now move that the recommendations of the City Governance Committee meeting held on the 11th of June 2024 be adopted.
Councillor Murphy has moved the motion. Would someone like to second that motion? Thank you, Councillor Jackson. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Would any councillors like to record their name against or abstain from any of the individual reports? No? Excellent. We'll now move on to the City Planning, Economic Development and Environment Committee meeting of the 12th of June. Councillor Stemp, as chair of that committee, could you please speak to the report?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I will now speak to the recommendations. Mr Mayor, we had 4 reports this round, and I'd like to speak to item 6.2, the outdoor furniture and parklet trial. Mr Mayor, the development of a nighttime economy across our city continues to be a common theme in community feedback. So as part of the nighttime economy strategy, Council is proposing a pilot parklet project. This is an exciting opportunity for Logan businesses wishing to trade outside to apply to have Council provide temporary infrastructure and equipment to enable them to explore outdoor dining. It is proposed the parklet project will provide prefabricated removable structures on existing on-street parking bays consisting of decking, barriers, built-in seating and planter boxes, and may include a roof, functional lighting and other built-in furniture. Expressions of interest for eligible businesses wanting to participate in the parklet project will open between the 1st of July and the 31st of October, and businesses can find out more by contacting Council's Economic Development team. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Stemp. Would any other councillors like to speak to the reports? There being none, Councillor Stemp, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I now move that the recommendations of the City Planning, Economic Development and Environment Committee held on the 12th of June 2024 be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Stemp. Councillor Stemp has moved the motion on the screen. Would someone like to second that motion? Thank you, Councillor Russell. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Would any councillors wish to record the name against or abstain from motion? Councillor Bradley.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Can I have my name recorded against 6.3? Thank you.
That will be noted. Thank you very much, Councillor Bradley. And Councillor Murphy?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just want to note that I was away for both the City Planning and Lifestyle that day. I have read the reports and I'm happy to move those reports as well.
Thank you very much, Councillor Murphy. We'll now move on to the City Lifestyle Committee meeting held on the 12th of June 2024. Councillor Hall, chair of that committee, may you please speak to the reports?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Surprisingly, for one of the busiest portfolios in Logan City Council, there was no reports to consider at the City Lifestyle Committee last week. But this does give me a good opportunity to acknowledge and to congratulate Council's community development team for putting together another fun-packed Crank School holiday program this year. Crank is another example of Council kicking goals for our young people, and parents, please take note Many of the providers who offer their programs work all year round, so if you do miss out on one of the crank opportunities, get in touch with those providers and definitely support our local businesses and our local industry helping out these programs. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Would anyone else wish to speak to the very many agendas in that report? There being none, Councillor Hall, I'll leave it with you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that the recommendations of the City Lifestyle Committee meeting held on the 12th of June 2024 be adopted.
Councillor Hall has moved the motion on the screen. Would anyone like to second that motion? Thank you, Councillor Bradley. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Would anyone like to record their name against or abstain from any of those reports? I didn't think so. Thank you very much, Councillor Hall. We'll now move on to council reports, which we have none, and into item 12, which is late reports. We do have one late report, which is item 12.1, the 2024 to 27 South East Queensland Community Stimulus and 2024 to 28 Local Government Grants and Subsidies Funding Programs. These reports are late due to the tight deadlines that we have on submitting applications for these grants, so they need to be considered by council at this meeting in order to make sure that the application can be made in time. As these reports are considered confidential under section 254J3C of the Local Government Regulation 2012 as they impact on council's budget. Would someone like to move me into confidential to discuss this report? Thank you, Councillor Bradley, seconded by Councillor Wilcox. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. We will now move into confidential session while we consider these matters and ask that members of the gallery, which unfortunately is our school students, if you could please go outside and wait until we've finished these discussions. We'll bring you back in when we're finished. Back to members of the gallery and to members of the public who may be watching the live stream. Council has considered the confidential report brought before us today in relation to two separate grants, and there is a motion on the screen for councillors to consider. I am happy to move the motion on the screen. Councillor Bennon. Oh, sorry, one sec. Oh, sorry. First, we will need to table the document, the confidential attachment that was circulated to councillors. Councillor Bennon has moved that, and I do not need a seconder because it's a procedural motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. We will now put the substantive motion on the screen. I will move that motion, and Deputy Mayor Bannon has seconded that motion. All those councillors in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously with the exception of Councillor Bradley. How do you vote?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I want it noted that I do support most of those projects. There's only one component that I'm against.
Thank you. So that's an abstention? Or it's a for, but you just wanted a note on the record?
I'm against because there's only one part of that I'm against.
Understood. Thank you for clarifying. Councillors, that brings us to the end of the agenda. We have a general business, which this month will begin with Division 3. Councillor Bradley, do you have any general business? St Ledger, Jackson, Hall. You want me to do petitions in a second? I will. Deputy Mayor, Stemp, Wilcox, Murphy, Councillor Bradley.
Thank you. Through the chair. Yesterday, I believe councillors had a discussion about the Lady Mayoress position. Mr CEO, may I ask for some legal advice about the use of the Lady Mayoress title and the role in our council?
Yes, we can provide that. Are you happy to have a motion for that? That there be legal advice provided, the GB motion?
Yep. So you want a general business motion for there's no Lady Mayoress in any local government other than Brisbane. Do you mean a mayoress?
I'm happy for a report, thank you.
I just need to clarify. Do you mean because there's no Lady Mayoress in Logan? There's only a Lady Mayoress that goes with the Lord Mayor in Brisbane. So would you like it to be the mayoress?
Specifically as stated, please, a report.
So you'd like a report on the Lady Mayoress in Logan? Have you provided a motion that you'd like considered, Councillor Bradley, or are you just seeking legal advice to be circulated to all councillors?
Through the chair, I would like specific legal advice about that.
But you don't need a motion, you just want it circulated to all councillors?
I am happy for a report as per the CEO.
Have you sent through a general business motion to the team beforehand, or is this just something that we're doing now? For future reference, councillors, if you've got a general business motion, while you don't have to provide it to the team, it's very helpful to them if you do, so that it's easy for them to put something together and consider. Councillor Bennon.
Mr Mayor, just a bit confused because you've stated there is no Lady Mayoress, so if we're putting up a report for the Lady Mayoress, there's no such thing. So,
if Councillor Bradley wants to put forward a motion for consideration, she's welcome to. I can't control what she puts up. That's
even the title doesn't exist. The report will be to go nowhere.
That's for Councillor Bradley to consider when she puts up the motion. Councillor Wilcox.
Can I foreshadow a change to Councillor Bradley's report, please, to change it to Mayoress rather than Lady Mayoress, so she...
Would you like to
receives
amend
a
the
report?
motion?
Yes, amend.
Are you open to that
Sorry.
amendment?
Yeah.
There we go. We got there. Thank you. Yes.
Just a quick question. Is it the intention to seek external legal advice or through the city solicitor? Because I just want to know whether or not this is going to cost ratepayers or whether it's in-house.
Councillor Bradley.
Through the chair, that is up to the organisation. Thank you.
Okay. Can I get some advice from the City Solicitor on conflict of interest? Because the Mayoress is my partner, therefore a close associate. Do I need to declare a conflict of interest on a general business item that calls for legal advice?
Of order, Mr Mayor. Did you ask for legal advice yesterday when it was discussed?
No, but we weren't discussing a report or a matter before council yesterday. We were discussing the Mayor's Charity Trust, and if you'd been there, you would have known that.
Good morning, Mr Mayor and councillors. This is obviously a little bit of an unusual one. I think if councillors are going to consider a request for legal advice in relation to the role of the Mayoress and for a report to be brought back to the Governance Committee, I think it would be appropriate for you, Mr Mayor, to declare a conflict of interest.
Declarable conflict of interest?
Yes, Mr Mayor, declarable.
Thank you. Once I see the motion, I'll declare the conflict. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Bennett. Yep, no problems. Councillors, just so I can take the time to fill in this form correctly, because the motion is on the screen, that a report including legal advice be presented to a future City Governance Committee meeting regarding the role of the Mayoress in Logan City. I'll just move that the meeting be adjourned so that I can resolve my conflict of interest appropriately and then put it before councillors for consideration. Would someone like to move that the meeting be adjourned for 5 minutes? I can't let you speak to the motion until I've considered my conflict of interest. So would someone like to move that we've adjourned the meeting for 5 minutes until 11:13? Moved by Councillor Stemp, seconded by Councillor Wilcox. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion has been carried. The meeting will be adjourned for 5 minutes until 11:13 so I can do my paperwork. Thank you. As the time being 11:13, I will move. Stand by. We'll have a motion on the screen to reopen the meeting. There's a motion on the screen that in accordance with section 261 of local government regulation, the meeting be recommenced at 11:13 a.m. I will move that motion, seconded by Councillor Hall. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. The meeting is now open and recording has resumed. Councillors, as a motion has, a general business motion has been put before council for consideration that relates to a close associate of mine, being the Mayoress, Alison Liddell, who is my fiancée. I will make a declarable conflict of interest declaration as soon as the paperwork appears on the screen for me. Thank you very much. I, Mayor John Raven, would like to declare a declarable conflict of interest in relation to the general business item raised by Councillor Bradley seeking legal advice in relation to the role of the Mayoress at Logan City Council on the 19th of June 2024. The item number is 15.1. Pursuant to section 150 EQ of the Local Government Act, I have to provide information in relation to this declarable conflict of interest. The nature of the declarable conflict of interest is that the Mayoress is my fiancée, Alison Liddell, and she is the Mayoress. Scrolling down, please. I'm seeking permission to participate in the decision-making process as I believe that it's in the public interest for the Mayor to discuss not just the role of the Mayoress as it relates to his or her partner, but as it relates to all future Mayoresses in the City of Logan. I'm happy to accept any limitations councillors may wish to place on my participation, such as not being able to vote but still being able to answer questions or have conversations that relate to this matter. Councillors, you will have a motion before you to consider shortly. Councillor Wilcox. Oh, you can ask me any questions that you'd like to.
So you want to still participate in the conversation but not vote?
I'm happy to participate in the vote if you think that's appropriate. I'm in your hands. But I'll accept whatever limitations you feel comfortable with, including removing me from the meeting if that's what you want. Councillor Bradley.
Mr Mayor, I do believe that you should not participate in this, but because there is financial implications or potentially financial implications of this role, and I would suggest you remove yourself.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. There are no financial implications for the role of Mayoress. Councillor Hall, do you have a question?
No, I'd just like to say that I'd prefer that the Mayor stays, considering that he knows more about this Mayoress, and I think that pretty much all of us, I don't think any of us would be able to answer the questions that would most likely that he would. So I'd suggest that he stay and answer questions but not participate in any vote.
So, councillors, you have a whole gamut of options that you can consider, including allowing me to stay in the meeting to answer questions but preventing me from voting. You can remove me entirely, as Councillor Bradley has suggested, or you can have me participating in full. It's completely up to you, and you get to determine that as part of your vote. I've got a question from Councillor Russell, or a suggested. There's a motion on the screen that says I can participate fully. You can modify that motion any way you like before it gets put to the vote. And I can't vote on that motion.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm sorry, this is kind of a bit of a confusing one. I just wanted to clarify that the original question is about the legality of the title. Is that the case? Of the role? We haven't argued that.
So the motion is just, it's a general business motion requesting legal advice about the Mayoress in the City of Logan. That's
and
it.
so that doesn't even determine whether it's the role or the title. That could just be either. The reason I ask is because if it is about the title, it's already been determined. It's already been stated multiple times in this discussion. The by yourself, Mr. Mayor, that the title already exists. So by on that basis, I think it's probably it could be perceived as influencing just by repeatedly saying that the title exists. I'm not sure. I think this is a bit confusing, but I think it's probably not necessarily appropriate for the Mayor to stay in the room for this conversation.
That's fine. That's what you're going to vote on. I've got Councillor Bennon, Councillor Wilcox, and then I'll go to the City Solicitor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not sure why we're asking too many questions already because we've got a declarable conflict of interest already on the board. So I'd rather test this out before the questions get asked because the more questions we ask while that's sitting on there could be grey. So to me, Councillor Hall stated it perfectly. I'd like to keep you in the meeting so you can answer the questions. There is no financial gain, so I don't believe there's a conflict of interest. I'd like to move the motion and test the floor on the one that's up on the screen now.
Thank you, Councillor Bennon. I'm just going to go to the City Solicitor, then I'll go Councillor Wilcox and Councillor Bradley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I thought it might just be helpful to clarify what to do here because, as I said, it is a bit of an unusual situation, the way that the conflicts come up. So, importantly, the first thing we need to do is deal with the conflict of interest. So, not the GB item, but the conflict of interest. Also, the important thing for you to remember is that when you're considering whether or not the Mayor should participate in the matter despite his conflict, because remember he's declared a conflict of interest, so he therefore has a conflict of interest. The decision that you make as the eligible councillors is whether or not it's in the public interest for him to participate in a vote about the GB item. So thinking about the public interest perspective, that's what you should be turning your mind to.
So I've got a series of questions. I think it's in relation, I know Councillor Hall's is, sorry, yeah, it's open. I think Councillor Hall's is specifically in relation to what the City Solicitor just said. So if the question is about the process, Councillor Wilcox, is your question about the process or something? Oh, sorry, Councillor Murphy, is your question about the process or something else?
It was something else, but I do think that we should deal with your conflicts of interest before we even decide whether we're asking questions or not.
I agree. I had Councillor Bradley. Were you asking about the process or the matter?
It was a question to the City Solicitor, but I will wait until after this.
Okay, thank you. So I'm only going to take questions that help you vote on the conflict of interest. Did you want to go on that or you had something else? Councillor Hall's got a question if you want to think about it. Yeah, okay. Councillor Hall?
Not a question, but I'd like to foreshadow an amendment to the motion that Mayor Raven may participate but may not participate in voting or decision making.
Understood. I'll test the motion as it stands first, and I'll test the foreshadowed amendment. Councillor.
Thank you. And yeah, again, this is very messy, but this is what we would be voting on next is a matter of legality and not a matter of, like, I don't know whether there would be necessary a relevant place in the room for the Mayor. Like, I don't know whether there is a benefit to the community either way.
Understood. So I'm going to test the motion on the screen, then I'll test the amended motion. So there's a motion on the screen that says Mayor Raven may participate in the decision despite the councillor's declarable conflict of interest. I'm not an eligible councillor for this vote, so I will not be participating in the vote. Someone will need to move and second that motion. Moved by Bannon, seconded by Councillor St Ledger. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That is 3. You can.
So
that motion has been lost.
So this particular motion, because it will affect my vote, it says Mayor Raven may participate in the decision despite councillors' declarable conflict of interest. So that means that you can stay for questions and vote. That's correct?
Correct.
Okay, I will against. Thank you.
No problems. That motion has been lost. I will go around the room to the eligible councillors, ask how they voted. Councillor Bradley?
Against.
Councillor Lane?
For.
Councillor Russell?
Against.
Councillor St Ledger?
For.
Councillor Jackson?
Against.
Councillor Hall?
Against.
Councillor Bannon?
For.
Councillor Stamp?
Against.
Councillor Wilcox?
Against.
Councillor Murphy?
Against.
Thank you, councillors. I'll now move to the amended motion that Councillor Hall foreshadowed, which allows me to participate in discussion but not to vote on the matter. Is that the motion? You want me to test if the Mayor can participate in discussion but not vote on the matter? I'll just wait for that motion to be put on the screen for councillors. Thank you to the meetings team. There is a motion on the screen. It states Mayor Raven may participate in the decision despite the councillor's declarable conflict of interest. The following conditions apply to Mayor Raven's participation in the decision. A, the Mayor does not participate in the vote. Would someone like to move that motion?
I don't want to move it. I want to make an amendment.
You've just got to run it past Councillor Hall if you want to amend it.
Oh, just
hear
me out for that. It says you may participate in the decision. I don't like the word decision. I prefer the word discussion.
That's fine to change to discuss.
I'll just get the meeting team to change the word decision to discussion as per agreement from the mover of the motion. I'll just let the City Solicitor and the CEO resolve that there's nothing wrong with that motion.
Well, no, I was going to say the matter. It's a matter dealing with.
Oh, so you would participate. Would you be comfortable with the word matter instead of discussion, Councillor Hall?
Yes, I would.
Councillor Wilcox, does that meet your... Yep. Excellent. There is a motion put on the screen as amended by Councillor Wilcox with Councillor Hall's permission or approval. Councillor Hall, are you happy to move that motion? Councillor Hall has moved the motion on the screen. Councillor Wilcox, would you like to second that motion? All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried. I will go around the room to the eligible councillors to ask how you voted. Councillor Bradley.
Against.
Councillor Lane.
For.
Councillor Russell.
Against.
Councillor St Ledger.
For.
Councillor Jackson.
For.
Councillor Hall.
For.
Councillor Bannon.
For.
Councillor Stemp.
For.
Councillor Wilcox.
For.
Councillor Murphy.
For.
Thank you, and I was not eligible. Councillors, you have determined that I am able to participate in the matter as far as discussion is concerned, but I will not be eligible to vote, and I'll leave the room when a vote is taken on this matter. There's a general business motion on the screen for consideration. Would any councillors like to speak to or ask questions of that general business motion? I have Councillor Lane, Councillor Councillor Murphy, Stemp, Wilcox. Councillor Lane.
Thanks very much, Mr Mayor. Is it the intention of council to send this externally to solicitors at ratepayers' cost or to have the report generated internally?
Mr CEO.
I expect there to be some external advice.
Thank you very much. Does the report seek to define the mayoress's role in every city event or happenstance, or is this specifically relating to the City of Logan Charity Trust, because this motion doesn't specify that?
And I'm not in the mind of the councillor, so I'm not sure what the extent of the intent is for the motion. We would seek to be as complete as possible based on that motion. We'd seek to be as...
So no, I don't want to answer it. The CEO has given his answer. Councillor Bradley, do you want to provide a response to that answer? Is it your motion and therefore your intention is what matters?
I'd like to ask the questioner, what's the purpose of you asking that?
Okay, so the actual motion itself is very vague. It's regarding the role of the mayoress in the City of Logan. Is it relating to events? Is it relating to the charity trust, which I believe was the discussion topic yesterday, for which you raised this purpose today, the motion doesn't define the purpose of what you're seeking to find out what the mayoress should be included or do in the city. I think it should be more specific. That way, we're not having a long-winded report that actually doesn't address what your concern is.
Councillor Bradley.
May I ask a question of the City Solicitor? Is the mayoress actually defined in the Local Government Act?
Through you, Mr Mayor, no, it's not a defined role in the Local Government Act.
So is that what you wanted the report to say, Councillor Bradley, that it's not defined, that she has no role in the city under the Local Government Act? Is that what you're seeking to get out of this report? It's a very vague general business motion. And is it seeking to compare our mayoress to other mayoresses in other cities and what they do or what things they undertake? I just don't understand the depth and breadth of what you want from this motion, that's all.
Through the Mayor, I am going to answer Councillor Lane's question and leave that for the organisation to define, because I don't know the answers to those questions. It's been the title has been bantered around since all this term. It has never happened in any other terms, and it is something that needs to be defined.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, but Mayor Fred Huntress's wife was the mayoress. Mayor Golledge's wife was the mayoress. Mayor Freeman's wife was the mayoress. Mayor Abel's wife was the mayoress. So it actually has been bantered around in the city for a number of years. So I'm just curious, and that's why it will actually go to how I vote on this, as to the depth and breadth of what you are asking for, because it's not defined in this motion.
Councillor Bradley.
Through the Chair, I'm going to answer your question now, because it has been used and bantered around as a title of significance, and there is a conflict of interest here in that the partner of the Mayor is a council employee who is coming back from leave and is not sure where her position is. So she needs her role.
Point of order. You're not aware of... No, point of order.
This is a discussion that she had with me.
Point of order. Councillor Bradley, when a point of order is called, you will be silent until it's resolved. So you're not aware of any employment status of any staff member in this building, particularly not that staff member. So I'd ask that you don't speak to matters that you're not familiar with. Carry on.
No, I will not, because you have a conflict of interest.
I do have a conflict of interest, and your colleagues have determined that I can participate in the discussion. Are you disrespecting the decision of your colleagues? Councillor Bradley?
No comment.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. Councillor Lane, you may continue.
Mr Mayor, I'm just trying to seek to define what it is specifically that's being asked for. So I'm not going to support the motion today. If it was actually defined, I probably would. When we say that this name has been bantered about, I have only heard pride in the voice of the Mayor when he refers to his mayoress. There's been no suggestion that she takes on formal roles. There's been no suggestion that she represents him at anything. I just think that this motion is too vague for me to be able to support today. I appreciate that Councillor Bradley wants clarification, but this doesn't clarify anything in my mind, because it doesn't have points that it's looking to, A, compare it to other cities, B, define a role, or C, if it's specifically in relation to the conversation yesterday about the City of Logan Charitable Trust.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. Councillor Murphy, Stemp and Wilcox.
Thank you, through the Chair, Mr Mayor. I wasn't there for the discussion yesterday either, but surely Logan City Council, like Councillor Lane has provided, we have had plenty of mayoresses in Logan City Council before. So surely we have, whether it's a job description Councillor Bradley is after, or whether it is to do with the possible change to trusts or whatever, we would have some sort of written information with regards to her role or where she fits in Logan City and how she can best advocate for us and what her role is actually about. So surely we have some information, because there's been plenty of mayoresses before us come and work for Logan City Council and tried to provide the best outcomes for our city. So is that what we're trying to establish here? And if so, through to the CEO or even our legal representation here, do we have any of that information from previous terms?
Mr. CEO.
There's past practice and custom. I don't think there's a written position description. There's just the past practice and custom that, you know, the involvement of the mayoress in various civic arrangements. My only other experience is in City of Gold Coast. Similarly, there's not a particularly defined arrangements for the mayoress, but there are on some occasions some civic expectation where a mayoress's attendance is required, and on those occasions that occurs. This general business item here, in the way it's constructed around legal advice, given that it's not a defined term in the Local Government Act, it's going to be fairly short. So to Councillor Lane's point, it's not going to be a lengthy advice, just simply because the construct here is around what the legal advice is. I think in discussing the report when it comes back, there is the opportunity for Council to further define roles of a further, I suppose, establish a position that it may have around the mayoress at that time.
So, Mr. CEO, I'd love you to bring back any information that we've had previously for the mayoresses for us to consider. And Councillor Bradley, is that what you're trying to seek here?
100%.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy, Councillor Stemp and Councillor Wilcox.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So for clarity, we're just trying to understand the role of the mayoress. Is that what we're asking for here? Is that to define the role of the mayoress?
That's what the resolution would be. It talks about what the
role is. But it doesn't specify this in its motion, though.
It says regarding the role of the mayoress. So we would take that as, what information in the second
report, including legal advice. I'm just still unsure about the legal advice side of things. I understand defining what the role of the mayoress is, but I don't understand the legal advice element of it. It's my confusion.
Thank you, Councillor Stemp. I've got Councillor Wilcox and Councillor Bannon.
Thank you. I think my understanding is we would like to read basically a position description or a role description. So wondering if Councillor Bradley's open to a minor word change and have it read as regarding a defined role of the mayoress in Logan City and the Logan Charity Trust, because I think what we're all trying to understand is, will the mayoress represent you at events advocating on behalf of the city? Because isn't that the role of the deputy mayor or for councillors? What is her role attending those events? If she is there on your behalf, I think perhaps a little bit more constructing of words to define this might be better received.
Councillor Wilcox, thank you for that question. Just to clarify, it's not legal for the mayoress to represent the mayor. Only another councillor can represent that. We determined that through the election process that had nothing to do with the mayor, just with members of the public representing councillors. So only a councillor can represent the mayor or another councillor at an event. That includes advisors and staff. They also can't represent elected officials. So the mayoress will not and cannot represent me at events. She may be invited to events in her own capacity as the mayoress, but that's nothing to do with representing me.
But can we, with Councillor Bradley's approval, could we slightly perhaps change the wording so it's regarding a defined role / position description for the role of the mayoress in Logan City?
Councillor Bradley?
I'm happy with what is up there because it's very broad.
Any further questions, Councillor Wilcox?
If this one doesn't get over the line, then I'll foreshadow another motion to actually change it slightly.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. I have Councillor Bannon, Jackson, then Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm looking forward to the motion coming to vote, so I cannot support it. So, Mr. CEO, anything the council, the reason we have an internal solicitor is anything that you bring to council, so if a report comes up looking for the definition of the mayoress, everything you bring to us has been looked over by a solicitor. That's why we have an internal solicitor, that's correct, eh? So I'm not sure why we're chasing legal advice on the role of the mayoress, because if it comes to us, we talk about the role of Maris. If that's what's happened, it's already been gone over by legal advice to make sure that we don't get ourselves in trouble. That already happens with everything we do. Is that right?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So, in terms of legal advice, yes. What I have heard, though, is that it's the role, which includes past practice and custom, as well as legal advice. So it's slightly broader than just legal advice. But you're correct. Legal advice does get sought for each report.
Which is why we have experts on everything that we do. And it's hard to do a predetermined role from before because, as you said, there was no predetermined role. So that's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bannon, Councillor Jackson and Councillor Hall.
Yeah, I'm supportive but concerned about scope and any cost related to it. I'd just like to see it limited in some way so it's not just going to be this thing that just grows out to something expensive that we need to do, especially if we're going outside for legal advice.
From my understanding, Councillor Bradley would probably have to respond to whether or not she's willing to narrow the scope, but it sounded from her statement before she said she was comfortable with it being broad. Is that correct, Councillor Bradley?
I am very comfortable with what is up there. Thank you, through the chair.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. So Councillor Bradley's not willing to narrow it any further. She's comfortable with what's on the screen. Councillor Hall.
Sure, just a question for perhaps the CEO and for the legal team. My understanding of the Mayoress is that it's actually just what you might consider an honorary title. The Showman's Guild has a similar honorary title for honorary members. Honorary members have the title of being a showman, but they no way have a right to vote or have land as proper showmen do, who are members of the Showman's Guild. My understanding is that the Mayoress, be it a title, does not have a job as the Mayoress within council. It is only a title. In a similar circumstance, I might bring my partner, my fiancée, Brianna, to an event, and for whatever reason, the organisers or the residents want Brianna in the photos with me, even though Brianna has no job at council or no role or no advocation for her community. She is my partner, but they extend that honour that they give to me regarding photos to her. But there is still an understanding that, you know, she doesn't represent council. She's not an elected member. She's just an important person through association, and that is kind of honoured within the title. There's no title. I had once someone called her a councillorette or that is my understanding of the Mayoress, is that it is simply an honorary title. It does not have a job within council. Is that council's understanding of the title Mayoress?
Mr. CEO.
Through you, Mayor. So in the Act, it's not even an honorary title. There's no reference to it in the Act. So it's, it sounds like in the Showman's Guild there was actually honorary in the arrangement. There's not even that in this case. So there's no mention of it in the Act. There is some mention of it in a policy of councils now around councillor expenses. That's the only mention in our current existing documents. And like I say, it's past practice and custom for wherever it's used, whether it's in a photo or some other civic reception type arrangement where the Mayoress has a role.
That being said, I kind of feel this is irrelevant and a waste of time and money to even create a report about this. I'm all for someone externally doing something, but I don't believe we should be using the ratepayers' money towards this. If there is no actual even job description of Mayoress within council, we're essentially investigating something that doesn't exist in terms of our operational practice. So in that sense, I won't be voting for this.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Bannon.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, just to finish, I won't support it again, as I've said, because you're asking for legal advice when we've stated by the CEO, it already gets legal advice on it. So I don't think the report's needed, so I'll be voting against it as well.
Thank you, Councillor Bennon. Councillors, I have sought advice from the meetings team. They've confirmed that I'm ineligible to vote, but able to run the vote, similar to the way that the conflict of interest vote was done in the first place. Is that correct, City Solicitor? Just making sure.
Through you, Mr Mayor, that's correct.
Thank you. Just making sure everything's done above board. There being no further questions or discussion, I will put the matter to the vote. Would someone like to move this motion? Thank you, Councillor Bradley. Would someone like to second this motion? Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That vote has been lost. I'll go around the room to get each councillor to say how they voted. Councillor Bradley?
For.
Councillor Lane?
Against.
Councillor Russell?
I wish to abstain, and I'd like to say why. I'd like to abstain from what's on the board due to the assumption of the existence of an official title of Mayoress, as I consider it to be outdated and sexist.
Councillor St Ledger?
Against.
Councillor Jackson?
Against.
Councillor Hall?
Against.
Councillor Bennon?
Against.
Councillor Stemp?
I'd like to abstain and provide a reason because I'm struggling to understand its purpose.
Councillor Wilcox?
I was for.
Councillor Murphy?
I was for, and I'd also like to add that this is for clarity, and I think it'd be good to have clarity for yourself, Mr Mayor. That's the only reason that I voted for.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy, and I am ineligible to vote. Councillors, that motion has been lost, but anyone else like to put any further general business forward at this time?
It actually went to a tie.
How did it go to a tie?
So we have
Stand by.
Councillor Bradley is for, Councillor Hall was against, Jackson was against, Councillor Lane against.
Thank you. That motion has been lost. Would any other councillors like to put forward any further general business motions? Councillor Wilcox?
I said before that I would foreshadow a motion just to amend it very slightly.
So because the motion is lost, there's no motion to amend anymore, so you'd have to put forward a new motion. Is that what you want to do?
Sure.
Do I need to
Sorry.
declare a new conflict of interest because of the new motion?
Sorry. I did say it before.
No, that's okay.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'm happy that the previous conflict of interest will apply.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. What motion would you like to put forward?
So keep most of the wording the same, but when it comes to regarding, if we can go regarding a defined role of the mayoress in Logan City, but also defined role / position description, including Logan Charity Trust.
Do you want legal advice on that, or would you just like a report prepared? Because legal advice is just going to go to the Act, and it's going to go... That's the problem that they got to before, that there is no definition in the Act. So, but if you'd like a report prepared that considers that for council to come forward, there would be legal advice sought as part of that report.
Okay. I'm happy with that.
So the motion that you want is that a report be prepared for a future City Governance Committee meeting regarding the role and position description of the Mayoress as it relates to Logan City Council and the City of Logan Charity Trust?
A defined role, yep.
Yep, defined role and position description, yep. Councillor Bennon.
Mr Mayor, further to Councillor Russell's, what this does is take it from, as Councillor Hall stated, it's just a mayoress, the same as he has a partner and I have a partner. What this does is push it further to being an official role. That's what this report will do if you vote yes to this report.
Correct.
Moves it from being just a mayoress thing to all of a sudden it's an official role. And the other thing is, then you would actually, for your safety, ask the mayoress if she really wants to go down the official role part before you put this report in.
She has no role to play in making decisions about what council determines. Yeah. So
that's what I'm saying. This is, at the moment, the mayoress is just a mayoress. This report will make it an official title and discuss all that. So I can't support this.
I understand. Councillor Jackson.
Yeah, I agreed with that, that we're creating something here that I'm not sure is actually the goal, and sets up an expectation that the wife or partner of a mayor has a role, which that you didn't get voted for that.
I agree. Councillor Wilcox?
I was just going to say, I'm happy for anyone to make amendments to this, because again, as a cohort of councillors, we haven't, and the city actually hasn't voted for a mayoress, they've voted for you. So I'm not sure if there needs to be a further definition about that in there as well, but it might be able to come back. Happy for city solicitor to have input into this.
Do you want to, so I'm happy for you to consider it, but it sounds like it's an undefined idea that needs a bit of work before you bring it to a committee or council meeting for further consideration. Councillor Bradley had a specific intention, which was very broad. Now you're literally trying to figure out what you want to do with a motion on the run, on the fly. My preference, whether it's about this matter or any other, is that you'd have a clear idea before you got there.
Sorry, given your conflict, I don't think your right wording is to say my preference is. So I'll just pull you up there.
My preference in relation to all general business matters, this one or any other, is that there's a clear idea before you bring it before council for consideration rather than trying to do it on the fly. Councillor Bradley had a clear intention that she had in her mind, but now I think councillors aren't as clear on that. If they do want to put it forward, they're welcome to, but I suspect you'll get a better outcome if you do a bit of work on it before you bring it back to council. But if you want to move that motion, I'm completely open to that, Councillor Wilcox, as that is your prerogative. I've got Councillor Bennon, and then did you want to say something else, Councillor Wilcox?
I was just going to say I'm happy to move the motion and test it on the floor today, and then we can.
I'm happy for the motion to be put.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. Councillor Bennon.
I agree with you. This isn't the place for it. There needs a lot of work in the background. This is what happens when you do ad hoc things.
Point of order. I asked that the motion be put.
Point of order. I'm still allowed to answer the question.
Thank you, councillors. So that is not a point of order. Councillor Bannon was already on the list and you interrupted without acknowledgement of the chair to try and put the motion. I accepted that you want the motion put, but I still had a speaking order, which was Councillor Bannon first. Councillors, the motion has been moved. Oh, Councillor Sim.
Sorry, Mr Mayor. Because the City of Logan Charitable Trust is a beneficial entity, can we make a decision in relation to that as part of this motion?
So the general business motion, as I understand, is calling for a report to be presented. You may be right that council has no ability to direct the charity trust through that, and that report would expose that. All this motion calls for is a report be presented to the City Governance Committee on this subject, whatever that subject may be. Does that make sense? Yes. Councillor Bradley.
Thank you. Through the chair, through the city solicitor, when a motion is stated to be put, does the vote have to happen straight away?
Through you, Mr Mayor, that is normal practice, but as the chair has control of the meeting and outlined a reason for why he didn't do that, I think that's reasonable.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. No further questions on the motion. It has been moved by Councillor Wilcox. Would someone like to second the motion on the screen? Councillor Bradley. All those in favour, please raise your hand, noting I'm ineligible. That motion has been lost. I'll go around the room to ask how you voted. Councillor Bradley.
For, and I will be raising this again.
Councillor Lane.
Against.
Councillor Russell.
Against.
Councillor St Ledger.
Against.
Councillor Jackson.
Against.
Councillor Hall.
Against.
Councillor Bannon.
Against.
Councillor Stemp.
I'm abstaining again because I have some real issues with the motion.
Councillor Wilcox.
For.
Councillor Murphy.
For again, and it's for the protection of the mayor that we address this situation. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. That motion has been lost. I will now move to the next person in general business, which is Councillor Lane.
Woo-hoo. Thanks very much, Mr Mayor. Okay, so much is happening in Division 2 in the coming weeks, and I just wanted to do a big shout out on upcoming events. NAIDOC Day is happening at the Kingston Butter Factory on the 9th of July. This is a free entry event from 8:45 a.m. It is for the whole community. It's not just for First Nations community. It's about going along and checking out what the oldest living culture actually does and how they do it, the meals that are cooked, everything is free. It's absolutely fantastic. Shout out to the Logan Elders for that. Loud, black and proud is the theme, and no one does NAIDOC better than Logan, according to the whole of South East Queensland last year. Now, Groves Christian College is doing the Wizard of Oz production on the 10th to the 13th of July. Tickets are just $15. Now, I was down there yesterday, and these are super cool kids. They are practicing their tukuses off. They are working so hard to deliver a great experience for the local residents, and they did it last year, and they're doing it again this year, so please get in behind them. They're absolutely magic. On the 29th of June, the Queensland Junior and Youth Cup is happening at Logan City 10-pin Bowling Centre on Wembley Road from 11 a.m. onwards. We got some absolute cracking talent in the bowling sphere, so go down and enjoy that. And Saturday the 20th of July, our local Meals on Wheels is hosting a scent auction just right behind us at the Lakota building. It's $5 entry for adults, kids are $2, and it includes an afternoon tea, lucky door prize, and you've got to buy your tickets. Our Meals on Wheels are the kindest, most giving, most wonderful people. They provide meals for the vulnerable and sick in our community, and I'd love to see the community get behind them and support them. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. I believe the CEO has some general business.
We're all done?
We are all done.
All right. Thanks for the indulgence, Mr Mayor. So I appreciate Councillor Bannon acknowledging Silvio Trinca. This is the last council meeting, the last opportunity to publicly acknowledge him before he retires. He's been providing his unvarnished advice to council for 16 years now, and I think we shouldn't underestimate the importance of that in a local government environment. We do our best to follow his lead on those things at all times. 38 years he's been in local government, so a significant contribution in a career to the craft, I suppose, of serving a local government community. So I'd like to, on behalf of the ELT, I'd like to thank him for his professionalism over that period of time, his support of the ELT and myself, which I personally greatly appreciate, and importantly, a sense of humour to it all the way through. So that has been something which has been a hallmark of Silvio, at least in my time here. So just want to publicly acknowledge and thank Silvio for his service.
Thank you, Mr CEO. I'd like to echo those remarks. And when Silvio was the acting CEO, some of my most joyful and terrifying moments was when I was summoned to his office, because I never knew if I was getting a clip across the ear or a pat on the back, but we always enjoyed that frank and fearless advice, and it was incredibly valuable both to me as a councillor when I first began, but I also feel the leadership he provided the organisation as a director and acting CEO was critical throughout his career. Councillors, thank you very much for your time this morning. The time is 11:55. I declare the meeting closed.